My name is Stephen Tracy, and I'm the COO at Milieu, which is a Singapore-headquartered consumer insights and intelligence firm. We recently carried out a joint study with Caregiver Alliance and our very own social purpose arm, Milieu for Good, as part of the Uncovering and Empowering Hidden Heroes campaign. The objective of the study was to better understand what it really means to be a caregiver in Singapore, and to explore current opinions and beliefs toward mental health caregivers among Singaporeans. The research was carried out online using Milieu's very own online access panel, and in total we polled 1,000 Singaporeans aged 16 and above, with quotas controlling for key demographics like age, gender, and ethnicity to mirror national statistics. So what did the research tell us? First and foremost, we found that 27% of Singaporeans provide care for someone with a mental health condition or conditions, such as schizophrenia, depression, eating disorders, etc. So if you're on the train or bus, look around, because 1 in 4 of those people could be under an immense amount of pressure and stress as a caregiver. Now that 27% breaks down into 3 categories. The first is primary caregivers. These are people who provide most of the care, and they represent about 5% of the total population. And next we have secondary caregivers, who are persons that provide support to the primary caregiver and generally represent another 5% of the total population. And finally we have ad hoc caregivers, which are people who provide care to someone with a mental health condition from time to time, and they represent 17% of the total population. The research also showed that stress levels among caregivers is considerably higher than the total population, and 26% also stated that providing care for someone with a mental health condition was extremely challenging. Furthermore, 65% stated that they don't have enough support to fulfill their caregiving responsibilities. If you want to learn more about this research or campaign, you can check it out in real life by going for a ride on the Northeast Line, or you might just come across one of the trains that's been beautifully designed with statistics from this research study, as well as stories from real caregivers in Singapore. The theme train will be running for the next 4 weeks, so definitely go check it out. And now here are some thoughts from other professionals and partners involved in this campaign as they dive into what it really means to be a caregiver in Singapore, as well as their thoughts on what the findings of this research really mean.
There is a huge group of people in our midst who are hidden heroes. Silently, selflessly, and sacrificially, they are caring for someone who has a mental health condition. Depression, major anxiety disorder, OCD, schizophrenia, dementia. Some are caring for persons with autism, ADHD, Asperger, or for someone, maybe an elderly person with a terminal condition. These people may also be afflicted with mental health conditions at some point. These caregivers are hidden heroes because many chose to be hidden because of the stigma associated with mental illnesses. They are doing their best, but they often feel lonely, helpless, and hopeless. We want them to know that there is help and support available, not only for caregivers of persons with mental health condition, but also for their loved ones and friends who are facing mental health challenges, whether recently or for the longest time. This campaign is a collaboration of 11 different partners who are in the mental health and caregiving space. Our goal is to encourage help-seeking behaviour. Our hope is to encourage the public to look out for caregivers and persons with mental health issues and refer them to us and to our partners for help and for support.
I think most people would actually consider a caregiver as somebody, who's staying, a family member who's staying with the client. But for Singapore Association for Mental Health, we identify somebody as a caregiver if the person is taking on the responsibility of caring for someone. Yeah, so it could be someone staying in the family, but it also could be a family member who is staying apart for the client. Especially nowadays when we have a lot of people who are clients, people who are actually staying alone on their own. Yeah, but it could also be friends or neighbors who are constantly, or maybe the rare few people who are actually in touch with the client. Okay, so these are the people we could actually network with and actually work together to provide the additional support to actually establish that rapport with the client and to also help the client.
Hi, I'm Bettina from Care Corner Insight. Are you a caregiver? A caregiver is basically someone who takes care and protects another, helping to make their life easier, safer, and more comfortable. I really like this quote where it talks about there are 4 types of people in this world: those who have been caregivers, those who will be caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, and those who will need caregiving. So actually, basically, caregiving is universal and actually could refer to any of us at any point in our lives. So what does Care Corner hope to be able to do to support caregivers? I think that's important that Care Corner supports caregivers because caregiving is really not an easy job, right? It's actually really tough. It has its great and rewarding moments, but it also exacts a very high personal cost, physically, emotionally. And really everyone has an emotional tank from which we give care from, and what Care Corner really hopes to do is to be able to help to refuel that tank in whatever ways we can, so that people can continue to be a blessing and to be able to help the people around them as well. Right? What would I like to say to caregivers out there? Thank you very much for your love and your care and your concern for people around you. It really is an encouragement. Sometimes just seeing the caregivers around me and how they care for the people around them. But also, I think it's really important to also please take care of yourself. We often say that actually the tool or the channel through which we give care is really ourselves. And if that tool or channel is not in a good state, then the care is compromised as well. So even as a caregiver, as you take care of other people, I think it's equally important to take care of yourself. And so please do that.
Are you a caregiver? Actually, almost all of us are caregivers. There are those who are actively caring for someone. They are what we call primary caregivers, and are mainly a parent, a child, or a spouse. Another group are what we call secondary caregivers. They support the primary caregivers, but they are not the main caregiver. Some just give financial support and maybe visit the person being cared for. Some of them are actually still very young, and their parents want them to concentrate on their studies or their new career. But guess what? They are all caregivers to be. One day, they may need to take over the primary caregiver. Caregivers are also describing all of us who have parents who are getting old. When dementia sets in, many are caught off guard. Many such caregivers are seeking knowledge and learning about dementia early because they want to be prepared, or they are already spotting some signs of dementia in their loved ones. Caregivers to be also refers to all of us who have yet to encounter someone who suffers from mental health issue. According to a 2022 survey, 51% of more than 1,000 people responded that they do not know of anyone with mental health condition. Another 22% said that they do not have to provide support or care. These are the lucky ones. But wait, they are caregivers to be. During COVID-19, many suddenly found themselves entrusted with caregiving. They never expected it, but actually they are caregivers to be. It's just that they don't know when they will become actual caregivers. And then there's a wonderful group of people called wannabe caregivers, want to be caregivers. You see many of them in the polytechnics, in the university, and even in the workplaces. Some of them are volunteers in faith-based groups or associations, or in grassroots communities. They are not related to the person that they are caring for. Hence, they are not really called primary or secondary caregivers. But these wannabe caregivers, they want to care for their friends. They want to care for their classmates, their colleagues, neighbors, members of their community. Wonderful people, wannabe caregivers. We and our partners want to help, but we need help from the public too, so that all of us could be on the lookout for anyone struggling with a mental health issue or with caregiving stress and burden. Actually, we want those who are struggling with mental health issues to seek help as well. They are also caregivers. We call them caregivers to self. So they should also seek help in order to care for themselves. Through this campaign, we want to showcase the range of mental health and caregiving support and services that are already available in Singapore. We want to share the experiences of those who have reached out for help and are the better for it. You are not alone. We are not alone. Help is available.
I like to categorize the challenges into three main groups. The first, this is in regards to the loved ones. Now, mental illness is not something easily seen or understood. Hence, caregivers themselves may have difficulty comprehending what is going on for their loved ones, why their behaviours are such, or why their loved ones may feel a certain way. There could also be different opinions between them. And all this can create frustration for the caregivers as well as tension in their relationships. The second category is more about what is going on for the caregiver. Seeing a loved one coping and struggling with mental illness is not easy. It can be painful. The caregiver, him or herself, may also experience grief and loss. As the loved one, the one standing in front of them, no longer used to be like who he or she is. Hence, caregivers may have their own emotional struggles. Besides, being busy looking into the affairs and the care needs of their loved ones. The third challenge comes from the environment. Although there has been a lot of improvement, there is still a lot of stigma pertaining to mental illness. Hence, caregivers have to cope with that as well as the effects of stigma.
Caregivers are driven by love and concern to provide the best possible care for their loved ones. However, this may come at a price, as caregivers may sacrifice their own needs, which in turn may cause them to build up resentment and anger, leading them to feel guilty, anxious, and exhausted. They may isolate themselves. They may burn out, which may lead to depression or their own ill mental health.
In the course of our work at Caregivers Alliance Limited, we met many caregivers who are fully devoted to caring for their loved ones, and many do it out of love. They said to us that it is their responsibility, and there's really no one else that they can turn to. Unfortunately, it is very tough, and many in fact suffer from stress, anxiety, and burnt out. They are often at a loss, and everything is by trial and error. They felt very much alone. Help and support is available for caregivers of persons with mental health conditions and for their loved ones as well. Many caregivers who attended our Caregivers to Caregivers training have benefited and picked up practical and useful knowledge and skills, as well as tips from other caregivers. They said they are more patient, more empathetic, more positive, more hopeful. Likewise, our partners in this campaign also have much to offer. Counseling, home visits, therapy sessions, and many more. Help is available, but if caregivers are not aware, it is a waste. Help is available, but if caregivers do not reach out for help, they will continue to suffer, and burnout is inevitable. They themselves might enter into a mental health condition as well.
I like to use the analogy of a teapot. Caregivers are selfless, like a teapot. They're constantly pouring out their love and care for their loved ones. However, an empty teapot cannot pour out anymore. That's why seeking help is important. Caregivers need to top up themselves, receive care and love themselves, and that way they can continue the care journey. Some caregivers have shared with me that they don't matter. What matters is their loved ones being happy and well. I'd like to disagree with that. Caregivers, your loved ones matter, and equally you matter too.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jade Kwa, and I'm a board member of the Mental Health Film Festival Singapore. Here, we aim to create a safe space to facilitate conversations about mental health. We do this through layered media such as film, panel discussions, and roadshows. This year, we turn the spotlight onto caregivers who often, out of love and altruism, tend not to focus on themselves, but rather give their all to their patients. But caregiving is an arduous task, and if we do not intentionally focus on the caregiver's mental health, then it could be to their detriment, and they will not be able to give their best to their patients. At this year's Mental Health Film Festival, one of the films, Woman on the Roof, documents the journey of a seemingly ordinary woman who suddenly robs a bank. This film then goes through her experience as well as that of her caregivers as they grapple with the situation.